folks. I'm Greg Simmons with Rohrer Seed Solutions, located in Central Illinois. And with me is the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Rohlik. Uh, we are currently sitting at the 2024 Peoria, Illinois Farm Show, where I would say probably the most popular thing on the floor are ink pens.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We don't have many left here on this booth.
So I've been asked, Matt. I've been asked by several people to put together, a video or whatever to kind of answer questions that growers have.
Mhm.
And I really feel like that if growers really knew what we were doing on their behalf and doing for them and opportunities that we're bringing to them, I feel like we would have a line here at the
Sure.
booth of guys wanting to have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
agree with that.
um, so Matt, I guess for everybody, tell a little bit about yourself.
Sure,
Who's Matt?
sure, yeah. I'll tell you. So, Matt Rohlik, I lead up sales and strategic partnerships for Arva. Um, we are an agronomic optimization company that just happens to be in the whole carbon world, if you will, or sustainability world. We help groups as yourself and the farmers that you serve roll from an agronomic optimization or using AI and ML, machine learning and artificial intelligence, to sustainability in carbon offsets, scope 3 emission reductions, CI scores, biodiversity, water, and some of the other things that are coming down the pipeline. Behind me here is a poster. We gave out about $20 million to farmers last year through our trusted advisor network, and looking to more than double that here in 2024.
Yep. So um, just for people who aren't aware, I don't know if you want to touch on or if you want me to touch on how the business between you and I
Yeah,
is structured and how that works.
yeah, absolutely. So we have a network across the United States, and actually in Canada and a few LATAM, South America markets, and we really partner or align ourselves with groups that are going above and beyond. Um, we like to look at people who want to help farmers grow in their business. They want to optimize seed placement, fertility placement, biologicals, right? How do you come in, and if a farmer comes into you and you say that's fairy dust, that's probably not the customer that we
Yeah,
want to have,
right.
right?
Absolutely.
We want to say, Mr. Farmer, that's a great idea. Based on our research and information, it should go here, or let's go figure out how to make this work together. So we really rely on the Trusted Advisor Network, and that Trusted Advisor Network allows us to uh, meet a lot of the farmers, right? Um, some of the differences between us and some of our competitors is
Oh, we haven't got to that yet.
we haven't got to that part yet. Well, we'll start on that. But the reason for the trusted network is that I can come in and talk to just about any farmer because I am a farmer myself. We're corn, soybean, sugar beet, and have cattle, but I don't have that relationship in the local communities like you guys do, right? You
Yep.
guys are the ones going to the ball games. You're the ones that have seen these people's kids get married and or graduations and all this. You just have that connection. So we rely very heavily on you guys to not only be that beacon for us in the area or evangelist in that area for us, um, but that's the first line of defense.
Yep.
Right. So it allows us to have a lot of good partners and for us to run lean and deliver. We work with you guys and local processors. There's CPGs and end buyers that are looking for sustainability goals. And we might bring them to you guys, or you guys might come and say, hey, there's this person, this person, this person. How do we work together to make sure that they know we're here, um, and get to do this? So, there's several groups that are coming together and saying, we're going to make a sustainable commitment to our company. And the benefit is the farmers. And that's what's really good about this.
What I've liked about working with you guys, so I've been working with you guys for a little over a year and a half now, and last year out of that 20 million, that you paid out to growers. I paid out roughly just short of a quarter, $750,000. This year, I expect that's going to be probably knocking on the door of 2 million.
Yep.
Um, and what I really like about working with what we have going on is it gives that grower another revenue. Well, a couple things really. It gives that grower another revenue stream.
Yeah.
For something that they're currently already doing, right? Um, but another reason I really like it is so at Rohrer Seed, I work a lot with cover crops and the biologicals and that sort of thing, and work a lot with no-till guys and guys that are doing a lot of, I would say, um, you know, uh, environment, sustainable
100%.
programs, right? Um, and a lot of the programs that's come out in the past, they always seem to be the victims. I don't know, victims maybe not the right word, but they're always the ones that kind of seem to take it on the chin as far as additionalities and not
Yeah.
being able to take advantage of the practices that they're doing on their farms. To where we're complete opposite. We're able to actually reward those growers for the things that they're doing.
Yeah. And we can do additionality. We've got some programs coming that if farmers want to do additionality, carbon offset markets, we've had opportunities both in row crops, but more in the pasture and rangeland coming. So those are definitely some opportunities. The thing with the additionality in the carbon offset market is the contracts are so long, and every year farmers make new choices.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And the beauty about a Scope 3 program or an insetting program is it's still a carbon abatement. We're still looking at the supply sheds as a whole and saying this farmer is doing X amount of stuff better or more improved to reduce the carbon footprint of the crop that they're growing. And we get to reward them for it, which is fantastic. So that's just one of the portfolios, is this Scope 3 thing as we get to the future of CI scores and 45Z, which is just around the corner here.
We'll touch on that in a minute.
And we'll get to that. Even sustainable claims is, we had supper last night with a group that they just want to dip their toe in the water.
Yep.
And they want to be able to reward farmers for doing things without maybe all the baggage that's underneath it. So there's groups that have contacted lately that how do we have a better seed coating, seed treatment,
Yep.
right? I know you're in the seed business. There's several of our other partners that are. It's important to understand like what neonicotinoids are. That's a word that not a lot of people understand, right? But there are opportunities and products out there that can help reduce them, that add value to yield, and in the very near future have an opportunity to get paid upon from a biodiversity credit, which we haven't even done yet.
Yep.
So,
what should growers be prepared for moving forward in this market, and what is the future, and what does that market kind of look like moving forward?
yeah, that's a great question. I think the number one thing is data. At this show, we've probably talked to at least 3 dozen plus people that said, okay, what's the first step I got to worry about? And it's 100% data. I've been in precision ag since the mid 2000s, and the unfortunate part is we made a lot of promises in precision ag then, and through the teens that data was really going to be this valuable commodity.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Never
absolutely.
turned to fruition.
Now growers are just saying, I have all this data. What do I do?
That's
with
right.
it?
That's right. So, I feel like I'm banging another drum or an old drum again, but the reality of it is, good data produces good results, right?
Yep.
You cannot manage what you don't measure, and in this case, we're measuring an impact. So, good quality data for efficiency uses, and obviously, you guys collect all the data from the grower, so you get to see the range or the wildness of how some people do it. I always get a kick out. There's one guy in Kansas that his hired man puts in 2025 season for corn, and combines, all 2,000 acres like
Yep.
that, and then he goes back and splits all those fields back out where
Oh my
they
gosh.
belong. But data is key. Finding a good data partner that you can trust to work with your data to make sure it's clean, get it into our platform, because the data is the basis behind everything that we need for calculations in order to go forward. So the other one is be curious, right? Look at contracts. Does it fit your operation? If you have to change something that you don't feel comfortable with, it's probably not the right program for you.
All right.
Right?
Right.
That's another thing I would say. There was we were talking about this EUDR on the soybeans and whatnot. It's like, well, that got kicked down the road another year.
Yeah.
And those are things of a lot of people got emotional about how they were selling this and what they were doing, and it was unclear and different numbers being thrown around. And it's gonna come, but making sure that you know are you going to have that land next year or 5 years from now? And if you do, maybe you can sign a 5-year contract. But if you don't know if you're going to have it from year to year, the 1-year contracts are ideal for you.
Yeah.
And what works in your operation? Maybe cover crops don't work on both crops, but they work on one crop or the other. Maybe you full tillage on corn stalks and no till or minimum till or strip till on your soybeans, right?
Yep.
What works best for your operation? Every year is different. Um, so I just be careful about how much you commit to and where and what and why and how.
And I would say probably one really big key benefit working with us is we can be that year to year
Yes. Yep.
program.
Yep.
What does the future look like? So whenever we talk about sustainability, people at what is this Trump administration going to do for it? Is so I guess I would say there's a lot of people that's thinking, okay, this is a fad. This is a short term
Sure.
deal. It's going to be it's going to go away here soon. What is the future? What does that 5-10 year down the road look like when it comes to pulling all this together?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I can't hardly believe I'm saying this, but I would say the Trump administration might actually accelerate this even faster because this is all 100% capitalistic run market. This is not a government programs, or a majority of them are not government programs. This is private money that are making public commitments to their consumers and shareholders. So, if a big company like a Nestle or Mars or PepsiCo say we're going to do this, there's no government taxes relief. There's no mandate that forces them to do this. They're doing it on their own goodwill. That's like you and I saying we're going to go to this place and by golly we're going to do it.
Yep.
Right? We're going to make this thing happen. And I really think in all honesty, that's a lot of farmer mentality, right? If a farmer says I'm going to do this, I mean, we just take these guys at their word because that's how our industry works, right? If you tell me you're going to do something, I don't need a contract from you to say it. You just told me you're going to do it, so I
Yeah.
believe you.
Yeah.
So we've seen more money come in. We're signing deals out 5 years. Well, that's past this current administration.
Yep.
So that's something that I think from a sustainability, biodiversity, is still all very, very privately run. On a government perspective, um, with our new nomination of ag secretary and some of the people that are coming around that department, nothing's going to change with 45Z as far as the money back to the biofuel producer, which is positive. That's going to be good. There actually is a current deal I was just working on that they want to. How do we extend this? Right. So right now it's a 3-year. They've got a public forum out right now, and I would encourage people to go on there and say this would be a good thing. And what could we do beyond these different items? So that's probably going to stick around, a couple administrations from now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if the Republicans or the bipartisan approach is doing it now, they're not going away from it.
Yeah.
So
before I think I want to lead into talk about 45Z, but before I do, I was just taking a note so I didn't forget. Um, you had mentioned earlier a little bit ago about with the grower getting prepared, getting set up, and that sort of thing. We talked about data,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so one of the big things that I can say that I hear over and over and over is who sees my data? What
Yep.
happens to my data?
Yeah.
Is this going to cause some bureaucracy to come into my farm that I don't want here?
Sure. Sure.
So can you talk about how we use the data and how the grower, what the grower can expect?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to say a couple different avenues here. In our current programs with both an offset and an inset, um, we the only people that quote unquote see the data is you, the one collecting it. We see it, but the end buyers that we uh, work with only see outcomes. So they never see Bob's farm back 80, mom's house did this.
Yep.
Okay, they don't see that. What they see is, I mean, like here in Illinois, for example. And here in Illinois, we had 100,000 acres that equaled this much cover crop, this much tillage, this much this, and here's the numbers, the calculations of the carbon abatement that it did. That's all they know.
Yep.
Now, they do have third-party auditors. We're going through some of that auditing right now. But third-party auditors will come in and say, okay, show us the calculations that you did to get here. Show us the data quality that you got. And then they do randomly pull, out of that, they might pull 1,000 acres out, just random. Like, give us this grower, this field, give us this grower, this field. And they kind of do it. It's no different than taxes. It really isn't, right? Like, you guys can do the taxes the best of your ability. You're still gonna get audited.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't matter if you're in the grain industry, the fertilizer, all these companies all get audited. Their books all get audited. It's the same situation with us. So besides that auditor, which I promise you is not from ag, so they're just looking to make sure that the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, which is totally fine. But from a data privacy perspective, I've been very fortunate to work for some of the big companies, and after doing that, you get to see a little bit of who's got the best data privacy out of them all.
Yeah.
But I would say our grower privacy documents are probably some of the best in the industry.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of that.
I've seen the reports that get ran after I put in all the data and all the information and everything. And it's literally basically like a PDF printout of just, here's what you were asking for. Here's how many tons that we got.
That's right.
Covered for you. Yeah, I definitely wanted to touch on the data thing.
Yep.
I get asked a lot about that, so
Absolutely.
ask from the horse's mouth.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So let's move into, I feel like there still might be some questions that people have as far as like scope 3, what in the world that is, and then I want to move into 45Z.
Okay. If we started with scope 3, really what scope 3 is these companies that have made these private commitments. They are looking at lowering their carbon footprint. Okay. And the way they can do that is through the farmers.
Yep.
Right. So
grow something green or put up solar panels.
Something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
This is not being, I'm going to say an example. Let's say, and this is not what actually happened, but let's just say in central Illinois here, this CPG or end buyer buys 50,000 acres worth of crop.
I'm going to stop you there. What is CPG?
Oh, thank you.
I say CPG all the time. They're like, what is that?
Consumer Packaged Good Company.
Okay.
So thank you for that. Those are companies that you guys buy from every single day. So anybody listening to this, you buy for your dog food. You're going to the stores. All the brands that are on top of the packages. Those are the CPGs. So let's say they take 50,000 acres in this area. When we look across that 50,000 acres, it's not all coming contiguous, right? It might be across an area that covers 300,000. So we take a look at the area of where those 50,000 acres come from, and what is the average practices that these farmers are doing. Now, a lot of people tend to go out and pull the guy who's doing everything, right? He's the bleeding edge, or he's ahead of the bleeding edge, and that's just the way that guy is. That's not a majority.
Right.
That's not the masses.
Right.
Right. The masses are this is how we do tillage. This is how we plant. This is how we do fertilizer, et cetera, et cetera. And when you start to look at that, the consumer packaged good companies set a baseline of like, here's the average. What they want to do is reward farmers for going above and beyond what the average is, right? Some farmers might be here, some farmers might be here, some farmers might be here. So the money is to incentivize opportunities of change. That change might be, again, through trusted advisor might say, Bob, you don't split apply today. This past year, because of the weather we had, the split apply was the biggest input agronomically
right.
that we could find. Well, from a carbon impact perspective, that split apply has a big number.
Yeah.
Okay. That's more than what the average farmer is doing. Same thing with a nitrate inhibitor. Now, here in Illinois, I think at least on anhydrous, there's like 80% of the anhydrous has some type of N-serve or something on it.
Right.
Just because you guys, things like going to get 50-some degrees this weekend, right?
Right.
And it's 2 today or 7 this morning. It's Minnesota. We just freeze up and that's it. So we don't need all that stuff. But you can see the denitrification and the leaching if you don't have that.
Right.
So think about this. When you think about NUEs, or nitrogen use efficiency, if you leach 30 or 40 units of N, you go from a 0.8 or a 0.9 NUE per bushel to a 1.2.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously that equates to more carbon as well. So using some of those things, the split apply, having an actual management plan of, look, we're going to plant this, we're going to do these things, getting that kind of put together. This is the seed treatments, these are the biologicals. Here's the variable rate we're going to have. All those things impact a score. Okay, same thing across the road here is a beautiful strip till machine. Maybe these guys are doing full tillage. It's like, you know what, maybe we need to start doing some of this stuff. We need to start doing a high speed or some type of a disc or a vertical tillage on our corn stock. Like this is a crawl, walk, run. Nobody's got no gun to nobody's head saying, if you don't do it tomorrow, you're out.
Right.
It's not how it works. This is a how do you feel comfortable moving forward, right? I push so fast that I fall over the table. Nobody should follow what I do, right? Because I don't care if it works or not. I just want to learn.
Right.
That's not the majority of the population. The majority of the population says, okay, Greg, I hear you.
I want to be safe. I want to feel safe.
What's the one thing I can do? Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So to that, this is also a misconception, or I want to get kind of to a misconception. Mm-hmm. So like last year, as I was signing up growers and that sort of thing, after I start cutting checks and neighbors start talking to neighbors and stuff, I started getting phone calls of, I thought I had to be planting cover crops. I thought I had to be strip till or no till in order to be part of this.
Yeah.
Even though that a grower might not be doing that, could they still get a payment?
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's the one thing that I keep telling guys is just because you're not doing these things doesn't mean that you wouldn't qualify for a payment. You're just not going to max it out.
That's right.
Right? We talk about $25 an acre for corn, $19 for beans.
Yeah.
That's if you're doing everything and maxing it out, but that's still, if you're not doing those things, there's
definitely still opportunity. I mean, if you do nothing right now and all you do is switch to split apply, there's an opportunity for you.
Yes.
That's where there's always two trains of thoughts. You're always like, what's the max opportunity I got?
Yes, right.
Or what's the bare minimum can I get by with?
Yes.
Right. We probably went with the what's the max I can max out at, because guys want to know how much money can I make.
Yeah. Because that's what all the other companies are talking about, right?
That's right. But we want to, our goal is to come alongside you guys, but you really to come alongside the farmers and help with that journey.
Absolutely.
Because this is a journey.
Absolutely, 100%. So no, this is all good stuff, and I feel like we're answering a lot of questions you guys have, right? So the big question, the big elephant in the room for a lot of guys, 45Z.
45Z, yeah.
So what? First off, what is 45Z tax credit? Why is it such a big deal, and why is it being discussed about so much?
So to make it very simple and high level, the 45Z tax credit is for biofuel producers. Biofuel producers are ethanol plants.
Yep.
Okay. And this, there used to be two. It used to be 45Z and 40B. 40B was primarily around SAF, which is sustainable aviation fuel. It's all come at January 1st. It all comes into 45Z. Okay? Everything runs into 45Z. The most simplistic way to put this is that we have a we have airline companies and other companies that want to have sustainable aviation fuel. And again, the best way and easiest way to do that is help get the plants on board to help reward farmers to do things and or pay them for the good stuff they're already doing.
Right.
Okay. So in that situation, the rules are definitely not out yet. I think they're close. I'm hoping by January 21st we'll have something.
I just wrote down, will it happen by January 1st? Because
January 1st, no.
a lot of people. So now I'm getting the question. Well, they're saying it's going to get kicked down the road. It's not. The Biden administration's not. They've announced they're not going to do anything with it or whatever.
I don't think we'll see anything the first. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think we see anything the first.
I agree with you.
I think even the 21st, as some of the Ag Senate Committee has talked about, is probably still a little aggressive. They are definitely addressing it. Anybody, it's public knowledge. You can go up and look. The House now has. They want to take roll call basically of everybody and say, is this still legit? How long should this be? So on and so forth beyond the initial 3 years. The thing a lot of people don't understand is only about 30% of the ethanol plants are going to qualify for this in 2025. That's it. Not every one of them. There's going to have to be pipelines that come in for the CO2 offtake. There's going to have to be new electricity things that are putting on the deal.
Is there any pipelines that's currently there that can be utilized?
I don't know about this area. Like over in my area, no, it's got to be a new one.
Okay.
It's got to be a new one. And they're struggling a little bit. They probably didn't come with the right marketing at first, which made some people mad. And frankly, I didn't understand it either when it first came. But I think the other big misconception is there's a lot of talk in the industry about this money's going back to the farmers. It is, but the biofuel plants don't just pay the farmers out of this money. They might be investing in the pipeline. They might be investing in electricity. They might be investing in efficiency standards to make their processes better in order to lower their plant CI scores. Okay, so this is a combination of plant CI scores and farmer CI scores. I don't know what the number is going to end up at. I try to set a very realistic expectation with every farmer and every partner to say, I think we're probably in that 25 to 35 range more than this 100 plus range that people have talked about.
You mean to tell me it's not going to be the $150 an acre that I keep hearing about buzzing around the country?
No. As much as I would love to hear that, there's so many factors that go into it. We don't know yet if this is going to be a book and claim or a mass balance, which if it goes book and claim, is there some slight opportunities for a handful of people across the country to make that kind of money? Yeah, there is.
What's book and claim?
It's a good question. So book and claim is similar to some of what we do on this farm grows corn, but the way we grow corn, we can take the environmental asset or the CI score and detach it from the grain. Okay. And then I could sell that into, from Illinois, I could sell it into Ohio, and I could sell it into Minnesota.
So that would be kind of the carbon credit part of it.
Okay. Yep. We'd have no clarity on this yet. It's coming. The mass balance is where a lot of how business is done today, where I haul, and I'm going to use schoolers just because they're down in your neck of the woods. Let's say I haul into schoolers, and that corn either goes to the river, it goes to this biofuel plant that's down the road an hour and a half from them, or they put it on a rail and it goes to a biofuel plant in Kansas, which they actually do.
Right.
Okay. So that the information that from the farmers that go into schooler basically has to stay on a ledger that then goes to the ethanol plants that then they can use. So we are set up to do both ways. So whether it ends up being mass balance or if it goes book and claim, we're set to do both. If it goes mass balance, there's not many people that can do that. If it goes book and claim, there's a couple more people. But if it goes mass balance, we're one of very few that can actually make that happen.
So I was going to kind of maybe wait until the end, but you said it. So is it fair to say, I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question because I know the answer, but are we one of the only companies out here that we're able to basically handle the information, handle the data, and be able to produce all, the ledger, all of the things that could be coming down the pipeline, plus what's happening today? We're able to do all that in-house, one spot, and we don't need other parties involved.
Yeah, there's a handful that I think are in that same realm as we are. The difference between what we do and what a lot of other people do is we offer an environmental asset portfolio. Okay, that's a lot of big words. So let me unpack that just for a little bit. Some people might only do CI scores, and they might only do a portion of that CI score. Some people might only do scope 3, but it might be a portion of the scope 3. We, from the beginning, John's dad, our CEO, Jay McIntyre, has really had a vision around, from a financial perspective, how do we benefit the farmers on the end goal. Now, our board is made up of some farmers too, and co-founders, which helps a lot as well. But our fiduciary responsibility has always been to the farmer. What that means is, how can we make sure that you make money, right?
As a farmer.
As a farmer.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, just as farmers take care of corn, soybeans, wheat, which is their grain portfolio, they sell, they decide, they figure out, et cetera, et cetera. We are doing the same thing with these environmental assets. So if they have X amount of water, X amount of scope 3, X amount of CI, X amount of this, biodiversity, et cetera, we help create pathways for them to monetize that on their own terms, right? Mm-hmm. So if, for example, if I'm a farmer here, let's just say I'm down in your area, okay? So I'm down in Waverly, but half my grain goes to the chickens, and half it goes to ethanol, on corn anyways, right? And my soybeans, who knows where they go? Well, let's just talk about corn, for example. The software that you guys leverage with us at Arva can set that farmer up for success for both pathways, where a lot of other companies you'd have to do with two different people, right? So you have the capacity to be the trusted advisor of the environmental assets for these farmers that can help, say, present the opportunities. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, these farmers are still the CEOs of their operation. Right. So they're going to make the call what makes best sense for them.
Yeah.
And we just, until somebody tells us different or farmers push back on it, we just think that aligns more with the farmer mentality of, let them run their operations the way they want to run it. We're going to present these opportunities. Yep. 100% up to them if they want to take them or not.
That's right.
So that's why we don't do contracts up front. Say you have to do this. That's not the handshake back of the pickup type kind of attitude we want to bring to the table.
Right.
So,
Right. I definitely think that um, the thing that I don't want to say struggle with, or I'll say compete against,
Mhm.
is the companies that are wanting growers to sign on to their program, sign up their acres, and that sort of thing. 6 months out before the combine even hits the field
Sure.
from last year's crop,
Sure.
right? And in a lot of cases, they're doing that hoping on the come, right? Hoping that they're
Yeah.
able to cover that acre, right? But the grower has the sense of he's covered,
Mhm.
right? Um, and then what I've run into is then find out what we're doing and go, I left money on the table.
100%. And just to be 100% transparent, clear, whatever you want to call it, I think those programs where they're offering something out front is a strategy for risk, right?
I agree.
Right? Like the whole portfolio mentality is a strategy for us. Let's put it back into grain, for example. Um, I am a forward contractor. A lot of people don't feel comfortable with that,
Right.
right? And that's okay. That's a strategy that I use personally. So if you think about this in the environmental asset world compared to a grain world, it's like, I'm looking at corn next year for 450 fall delivery. I'm not going to go sell 200 bushels, but I know I can ink a little profit right now. So maybe it goes up. We don't know what's going to happen the next 3 months, what the insurance price can be February, but I have no problem selling 15% right now for a 450 delivery because I can make some money at that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If
Right.
that's my worst sale that I made some money on going into 25, I am a-okay with that, right?
Right.
So again, I'm not saying, throw all your eggs in one basket, but I do think that can be leveraged as a risk mitigation for these farmers because on the flip side of that, if they didn't sign up for it and waited all the way to the end, there may be nothing left for them, right?
Right.
So maybe they throw some into that program, somebody else's program, the programs you're offering. And in some cases, those other programs might come to you anyways and say, hey, what do you got left?
Right.
We need some help. So, this is a collaborative effort across the industry. Some people maybe take a little bit more rudimentary approach than others, but at the end of the day, um, what I care about at Arva as we select channel partners is, again, do they have the best interest of the farmer at hand? And that's the kind of people we want to work with.
Well, that's definitely why I'm with you guys,
Mhm.
right? Because the whole idea of you know additionalities and things like that a lot of companies are running in the past, or even your CSP or your equip
Yep.
type programs. Um, those type of growers that are already using those practices, they don't get to max that program out.
100%.
This is that opportunity that we don't do that,
Yep.
right? And that and the other biggest reason is a lot of companies, I feel like, uh, whenever they make an agreement with a CPG or something like that, their mentality is, how can my company make money and we pay the farmer a little bit,
Yeah.
right? To
Yeah.
incentivize to get that
Yep.
information. We're completely opposite.
Yes.
We are how much can we get the farmer paid?
Yep.
And that little bit is what we live on for
Yeah.
administration fees.
we run on some
But
pretty
that's
short
okay
margins.
because that's the
It
way
is.
it should be,
Yep.
right? And this is this, and I tell a lot of guys, this is the opportunity that. How many times, Mr. Farmer? How long in your career, Mr. Farmer, have you been the villain
Yeah.
that is poisoning everybody and all this sort of thing? To where now this is the opportunity. The farmer's the hero, right?
Yeah.
And
100% it is.
we're
100%
still
it is.
doing the things that we're doing. Only it's getting brought to light that we've not been, in the ag industry, we've not been the villains. We
Well,
are the stewards.
we
We
got to
are.
keep in mind we're only 1.5% of the population that feeds
Yes,
100% every day. And
but this is our opportunity
yes.
to educate, and I think that's been the big thing that we've been talking about and questioning forever is how can we educate the masses, and I really feel like this is it.
I do too. I think I might have even said it at one of your presentations. It's like, unless the 65-plus-year-old guys are going to get up on TikTok and start dancing, I don't think we have much of a chance to share this good word with the masses. So no, it's definitely an opportunity for us to do that.
All right, so we kind of went down a rabbit hole, which we often do, Matt, whenever we get together. But let's dive back into 45Z.
Mhm.
So, do you think we kind of covered what it is?
I think we did. I think I'll kind of I'll land the plane on this comment. Kind of as we've gone through these different things, data is still the key. Doesn't matter if you're going to do a scope 3 and or a 45Z. Data is still the key at the end of the day. If you don't have the good data, you won't pass the audits. With the private markets we currently work in, they're hiring third-party audits to do this, right? On a 45Z, this is IRS. Okay, so this is like you doing your W-2s or you doing your 1099s and W-4s, all that other stuff. This is going to get audited.
Yeah.
And there's processes in place already for similar type items in the biofuel markets. They're aligning very similar to those things. So there's audits on all the steps. So you can't just say, yeah, I think I did this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Okay. Where's the proof you actually did it? And so the data stringencies and how the evidence to support them is only going to increase.
Yep.
Now you can choose not to do all that. Have a go in halfway if you wanted to, and you're only going to get paid for that halfway if you will. So data, cleansing of data, making sure that it's good to participate is definitely my number one. So on the 45Z side, we have an opportunity to touch only a part of the market. And what I mean by that is, even if every biofuel plant's onboarded, okay, we only use 5.5 billion bushels. We can't produce enough SAF to supply United, Delta, Frontier, Southwest, anybody who's made commitments to SAF. So this is going to take a while to get to where it needs to be. This is not just we're flipping a switch and everything's going to be on. Again, like I said, 30% of the plants next year are only going to qualify. Roughly, don't take that to gospel, but that's what it looks like at this point. And the other one's they could be another year or 2 years down the road. So this is where, understanding your markets, where your best fit is, and how things should be done, where they should go. Understanding if book and claim comes or mass balance is where it is, that you're partnered with the right people.
So what I've been telling, I think I've pretty much told all of my customers, especially the ones that working with on Arva, is if we have the technology in the cab, we've got the monitors, we've got whatever. If there's a butt in the seat going across that field, put it in the monitor.
Yeah.
Put it in the monitor what it is you're doing.
Yep.
I don't care if it's spreading manure. I don't care if it's spraying or field cultivating.
Definitely.
Because that serves as proof. It's clean, easy to manage and work with. But there's also a lot of people out there that aren't doing that haven't really seen the reason for why. And this is definitely that why reason.
Yeah.
Because, I still, have growers that, when you say, I need your yield data, and harvest dates, I get the average by county.
Yeah,
and it's like, that's
ya.
not what I meant. We need that connectivity. We need that information.
Yeah. That will not work for 45Z. Just FYI, that will not work. Just to say that. So,
what should growers be doing to prepare themselves for the to take advantage of the credit, the 45Z tax credit, and what is the easiest way to get the information in the platform?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, working with you or a trusted advisor is number one. It's tough to say what exactly farmers should be doing because, like, I mentioned this to you the other night. I know we're still wrapping up 2024, right?
Right.
But as soon as you're handing out checks to these farmers, we really should be getting everything they did post harvest, right?
Agreed,
So
100%.
combine left the field, that basically puts a bow around the 24 season.
That's correct.
Everything from there moving forward is for the 25 season. So what tillage did you do? What P and K, zinc, and what did you put down? Um, if you did a dry fert, what did that look like? And then you came with some anhydrous 3 weeks later with N-Serve. Like, get all that data and information. Did you put a
Lime,
cover
soil
crop down?
testing.
Lime. Yeah. Where's the latest soil temps? You do that, you're 30% ahead of everything,
Absolutely. Yeah.
just instantaneously. Um, and then the whole rest of the season makes it a lot easier. So those are the things that I'm encouraging people to do. And if you think you're going to participate in 45Z in the future, or interested in a livestock program or some of this stuff, you guys just get started, right? Um, Start prepping, making sure that you're getting, you know, the data kind of all into one spot, which is with you on our platform, those type of things.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, what, maybe we already kind of hit on this, and tell me if we did, but what do you think the future ethanol and the 45Z looks like down the road? You already said that, um, we don't have we're not going to be able to supply the demand for the airlines. Do you foresee moving forward that there's going to be more ethanol plants being built?
That's a good
Um,
question. I don't know. I don't
how are we gonna
speculate
how
on
are we
that.
gonna cover that demand?
Well, there's other things coming. There's other crops coming. Um, they could be camelina, carinata, um, actually even hemp oil, believe it or not, soybean oil, and I guarantee I'm missing another crop. But some of these crops actually have good low CI scores. They're just not at scale at the moment.
Okay.
And there's a few plants across the country that I know about that are in infancy / pilot stages doing this already.
Okay. Um, do you see that? I mean, the demand uh, mostly coming from because you got South America that's they just continue to keep planting more and more corn. I know right now we're talking about, and I just wrote down, kind of touch on soybeans here when we get done talking about ethanol. But so corn kind of seems to be the king, but South America they continue to just keep raising more and more corn. Do you see that demand coming globally? Do you see most of it coming from the U.S.?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's biofuel plants in Brazil and Argentina, right?
Yes.
Um, a lot of that's on sugarcane. Sugarcane has some good low CI scores.
Okay.
Right now, the current laws, it's really to keep out foreign biofuels and use domestic biofuels to do this. Um, it's hard to speculate the what, the why, the how of that future. I think more localized food is probably the direction of where some of the people are going to go, in localized fuel and those type of things. But that's hard to speculate on. I think putting on a global consumer hat and just talking to one of the largest global companies yesterday at supper, um, they are. It's still a commodity game. Don't get me wrong. It's still a commodity game, right? Like, who can we buy the lowest from? But the conversation about how is it grown sustainably is entering in these conversations where it didn't before, and that's new.
So it's not necessarily going to be just hung up on price. So the how that crop's grown could come into being part of the value conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's, just kind of as a side note, some of the people that we work with in Brazil and Argentina are very regenerative farmers. They really are, and even on their multiple crops, they either aren't tilling, they're doing no till, or they're doing minimum till. They are increasing their organic matter by 2 points in 5 years. 2%. Like when you think about 2%, for anybody that's ever listening to this, if you think of what your soils can do in 2% organic matter increase, the mineralization of all the rest of your agronomy, that is revolutionized.
Yep.
You don't worry about cutting inputs.
Right.
You just don't have to.
Yep.
So that's where the whole regenerative movement, from an agronomy, I'm an agronomy guy first and foremost.
Yeah.
The sustainability for me personally as a farmer is how do we tell our story to our urban cousins, and make sure that we're leaving our farms better for the next generation, whether it's for our own kids or for somebody else. That is the whole goal. It's always been that goal for farmers. We're just probably being a little more vocal about it now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're sitting at.
Gotcha. How do you think the oil companies are going to play in all this? As we talk about, 50% of aviation fuel wanting to come from sustainably raised fuels and things like that. How do you think?
I don't want to speculate on what I think they're going to do. I will tell you that I will say that when the new administration gets in, there could be some very positive things that come from the oil and gas companies in the industry. So we'll see what shakes out. I love oil and gas. It's cold outside. It's heat in this room right now we're in.
It will always remain our cheapest source of energy.
So, and if we're doing some studies even where oil at the end of the day is only carbon.
Yeah.
Right. So, we'll see what happens.
Yep. All right. So, I think that kind of covers. Okay. So soybeans. Let's touch on soybeans real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much our whole focus has been on corn.
Yep.
So let's real quick talk about soybeans. What is our demand there? What's the future look like as far as sustainability with soybeans?
Yeah.
Because I get asked a lot.
Yeah.
How do I get paid for every acre, every crop?
100%. And you should. Every acre has an asset opportunity moving forward. So 100% you should. Soybeans are, depending on where you're at in the country, they're the not so favorite crop of some people's. In other areas, that's what makes the farm, right? So for soybeans, unique. We all tend to, eat a little fast food or eat fried potatoes or something along those lines. A lot of that oil in the fryers are either coming from a soybean oil or something else. So soybeans are playing a bigger part in longevity. So for example, and I'm not saying everybody's switching to high oleic, but regular soybean to high oleic soybean oil, the high oleic soybean oil is 40 to 60% longer in the fryers than regular soybean oil. Well, that's a sustainable portion, right?
That's kind of a huge deal.
That's a very big deal. So anybody who works in the fast food or has kids in the fast food, ask them how often they change the oil. You'd be surprised.
And you don't sit and think about, until you say that, because you've told me this.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really give it a thought until you sit and you absorb that and you go and you start thinking about how many places are using deep fryer oil.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Exactly. And then the other thing, the other big one, because I'm a livestock guy, so the big one obviously is livestock, right? You got soybean meal. So that is chicken rations, pork rations, livestock rations, or cattle rations, dairy rations. Doesn't matter if you're eating chicken or eggs or any of that, it all touches soybean, right? And as you go through the store, you're going to start to see, sustainably sourced eggs, sustainably sourced chicken. So everything that stands behind that needs to have a sustainably sourced behind it, which a majority of that ration is either soybean meal, corn, DDGs, whatever it might be. But soybeans make up a lot of good protein.
Right.
So as you think about, as a whole, I think corn and soybeans, 45% of the market goes to livestock.
Yeah.
If you put that in perspective.
And I feel like we tend to forget that.
We do. Because there's not, 20 or 30 sows on the farm anymore,
right.
or 20 steers. Somebody asked me about going to Florida for a week, and I said, "Geez," I got to find somebody to do chores, and they're like, "Chores?" I said, "Yes, I have livestock."
Yep.
But they Grandpa had livestock, and they can remember Grandpa having
Oh yeah.
livestock, but Dad never did because Dad was working a part-time job, and now the boy he is very blessed just to farm, but they've never had chores. They don't have to go out and move snow to
Yep.
feed the cattle, and which there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a dig on anybody. It's just because of the concentration of where the livestock is gone, we do forget about it from time to time.
Oh yeah. Just had a conversation walking in with a gentleman that, well, actually in the booth next to us, that days like today, whenever we raised hogs, confinement hogs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Mornings like today is whenever you'd wake up, look out, and the cable broke on the curtain or whatever, and the whole building's froze up.
I know it.
So
Oh,
now that we don't
sure.
have hogs, I appreciate not having to wake up
That's
and
right.
look out the window.
Oh, sure.
But
Well, good.
so yeah, so soybeans is so that you think that's where we're at with
So
soybeans?
I think
or?
that's where we're at with soybeans.
Okay.
Look, I think there's some opportunities coming down the pipeline for some other items around soybeans, but uh, there's some double crop stuff that I think could help with some of their CI score items, but obviously that's not everywhere. Not by me here. You guys can get by with some of that stuff. We can't. So there'll be some more regionalized stuff that comes up, but for the most part, we'll see. Take it as it comes.
Okay. Do you want to touch on what else Arva platform can do for the acre,
Yeah,
for the
yeah. No, I
farmer?
can
What
touch on
else you
that
can
real
bring to
quick.
the table?
So we started this company as an agronomic optimization company. So how do you best place seeds, um, fertility products, biologicals, those type of things? We have automated farm reports for the growers. We have the opportunity for groups like yourselves that maybe sell an in-furrow product or a foliar fed product, humic, folic, whatever it might be, to find out where is it working, where is it not working on the farmers, so you can go in and help advise or say, hey, look, it works really well in these soils, and these soils it doesn't. It works, with these hybrids better than other hybrids. So like, here's the recipe at a field level that has an opportunity for better success. So as we move into 25 and beyond, we're going to have not a renowned, re-emphasis on the agronomics, because at the end of the day, as I said before, I'm an agronomic guy. The exhaust of agronomics is carbon. So good agronomy will give you good carbon.
Yep.
And it's just not a story that, like you said, a lot some of our friends, competitors have not told that story, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's all about carbon, carbon, carbon. Okay, I get it, but you can't just go out and it's like this. I told somebody the other day. So if you're telling me I no-till and don't plant a crop, I've made it better. And they're like, well, no. I said, okay, but so you still got to plant a crop. Well, yeah. I said, okay. So what that tells me is that the root structure and the root zones of that specific crop, in concert with the cover crops, is what's doing it. Well, yeah. I said, okay. I just want to make sure that's what we're on the same page. So that whole focus of the agronomy was not there. It's just like, how many cover crops can we get out? Well, have you considered endophytic shock and other things that agronomy, like the local person swinging that cover crop doesn't understand those things. So that's why we have chosen partners like yourself to have that conversation. Like, did you have a grass on a grass,
right,
plant to plant? If you did, maybe we better inoculate those things.
Yeah.
Not, and I probably lost a whole bunch of people on that, but ask Greg about it. But those are the type of things that we have not, as an industry, brought up to the farmers, and that's why some of the negativities around some of these as well. Like, I used cover crops and they didn't work. Okay, why didn't they work?
Right.
Did it work? Did it not work because termination dates? Did it not work because of the endophytic shock that we just referenced? Did it not work because that was a legume and it really should have been a grass?
Right.
I
start every cover crop conversation with a question of what is our goal?
Yeah, 100%.
It's
100%.
If we're looking at improving soil health, if we're looking at just trying to stop erosion, um, things like that, it's a totally different conversation.
Oh yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with cover crops. We're fortunate enough to farm in two different spots, and on some fields, we have reduced our chemical and fertilizer by $40 an acre. On other fields, it's cost us that much.
Yeah, right.
Right. So
Right.
that's why the trusted advisor of that is what it is. So, well, thank you so much for this.
Yes.
It's been a lot of time.
Yep. No, and I appreciate you taking time to answer a lot of the questions, and if you got any more questions after watching this, reach out, and we can get them answered. But I tried to ask every question that I've come across and that sort of thing. So I feel like we covered pretty much all the questions. So
well, thank you for anybody who's listening. Gets to listen to this. Thank you for all that you've done and participating and supporting us and Greg and our CPGs and buyers. So thank you.
All right. Thanks.